Hey, this is Red from Ross Video, and I'm going to show you a simple introduction to transition logic and how you can get started. So first of all, I'm going to show you how it looks. So if I play a scene that has transition logic on it, you can see the scene comes on air, and I can choose any of these, the same scene but with different content in any order, and of course Expression knows how to transition between these different scenes. So if I now take it offline, of course it clears. I can bring on this one, take this one in any order, and of course it knows how to transition. If I now go to the layout side, I'll show you how this was built. So I have the scene that I was just playing there that has all the logic, and I've got a copy of the scene here, which is a duplication of that above scene, but I've removed all of the logic that I built so that I can show you how to build all the animations from scratch. So first thing we're going to need to do is make a number of different scene directors. So in the past you may have just had the one scene director. For transition logic you're going to need to consider all the different options for how your graphic might animate, and then make an animation for each of those. So in this case I know I'm going to have an in, an out, so that's like take online and offline, and then I'm also going to need an update. So I'm going to need 4 new scene directors. So I'm going to add 4 here. Just going to close them. What you're going to notice here is the scene director here. This is my default scene director, which you can see is in bold, and then I have my other scene directors. I'm going to rename these, and I'm also going to, the reason why I've ended up here with 5 is because Expression requires a default scene director, and that scene director is what it plays every time the scene is taken on air, which means in the past that's the behavior you would have wanted, because every time it goes on air you would want it to play the animation. However, this can, with transition logic, cause Expression to trip over itself, and you may end up always playing the in animation, which of course you don't want when you're transitioning from one piece of text to another piece of text. So what we do is I'm going to make this 5th one here, I'm going to rename it as null. It doesn't have to be called that. You could call it empty or spare or whatever works for you. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to set as default, and you can see that now that's gone bold, and you can see here it says its usage is preview. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename all the rest of these guys, which I'm just doing by clicking and just waiting a beat, and you'll see that it changes to highlight, and then I can just type in what I want these to be called. So this one's going to be called text in, and this final one's going to be called text out. So I've got my in, out, text in, text out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my in scene director here. So because I'm working with one screen for this video, it's going to be a little bit cluttered. Normally I prefer to work with 2 screens. I recommend that for yourselves as well, but for the sake of this video we're going to work with just the one. I'm going to just zoom in on this guy here, and of course what I need to do is make a reveal. So I've got some masks, and actually if we have a look here, I've got my mask on the right, which is somewhere over here, and if I move this guy in, you'll see that my mask on the right and the left are actually moving together. So that's something that I've done previous to starting the video, which is in something called Visual Logic, which you may have seen some of our other videos on that. I've connected the right mask via a multiplier, which is a -1, to the other mask, which means that the 2 are linked. So when I animate the right mask, the other one moves off in the opposite direction, which means I only have to do one animation to create this center reveal. So if we start with the right mask in the middle, that's 0, so I'm going to make a keyframe on the X position, set and close. The shortcuts are Control K and Enter in case you need those. So I'm going to move this guy now to, let's say, 10 frames, and then I'm going to move the position so it's all the way off the edge of the screen. So in this case 1920, because this is a HD scene, and I'm going to do Control K and press enter. So that's my 2 keyframes. So what I should have now is a nice animation reveal. And of course, if you want to put a bit of a curve on that, you can open up the key graph editor. You can go and find your animation there, and what we can do is we can put our own curve on that. So we've got a little bit of slow, fast, and then slow. So let's just have a look how that looks. Okay, so yeah, it's okay. Maybe it's a little bit fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my animation controller down here a bit longer. So I'm going to type in 20, and that will actually extend the animation controller. And I'm going to do right click, move keys, and I'm going to type in 20 here as well, and that actually moves my second keyframe, the one I had highlighted, to the end there. So let's have a look. Okay, that's a little bit nicer. So I'm happy with that now. So that's going to be my in. Now I'm going to go to my out animation, and I'm going to take the animation controller, this one here, and I'm just going to left click and drag it onto my timeline here, and I'm going to do shift, left click, and now that's snapped to the end there. So when you press shift, that turns on snapping while you're holding the button down. And I'm going to go down to this square here, and I'm going to drag it, and that just zooms in so I can see more clearly what's going on. So now I have, in my out, I have again my in. I'm going to right click and rename this as in/out. So it's my in and out animation controller, and I'm going to do right click and reverse direction. So now I also have very easily made my out animation. They don't have to be exactly the same. I've just done this in the name of saving time. So that is now my in and my out created. So with my in at the end there, what I'm also going to do with the in is I'm going to go to the end of the timeline, and I'm going to do right click, and I'm going to say set preview frame position marker. What that does is chooses where Expression pulls the thumbnail here from, which is obviously very useful on the operation side because they can actually see what the graphic's supposed to look like once it's settled. I'm also going to do a right click, set default frame marker. Now what this does is it sets where where this animation is at the point where the scene comes online, unless the animation is playing. This is important when you're doing the transition logic, because if you have, say, at the beginning here, when you do a page update or you know, like a scene to scene transition, you might find the graphic appears to pop off visibility for a moment, and that's because what it's doing is Expression would be jumping to this first frame where you've actually got the background hidden, which you don't want. So to force it to the point that you want, you can set that at the end here as well. I hope that makes sense. On the next stage will be to make our text in and text out animations. I'm actually going to start with my text out animation, and I'm going to do right click, add clip animation controller, and I'm going to hold down shift, I'm going to snap to the end here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to rename this guy as text out. And for this animation, I'm just going to move the text object here from its current position, so Control K, position Y, enter. Then I'm going to move to let's say 10 frames, and I'm going to move on Y this guy until it goes behind a mask I've created earlier on. You can see here I've got a number of masks. If you're unsure about how to make masks, you can see one of our other videos. And I'm going to do Control K again and enter. So now I have a animate out. I'm also going to shorten this animation controller down to 10 frames rather than 25. The default setting is 200. It's possible to change what your animation controllers are defaulted to created at by going to edit preferences, and you can see here under the first stage you can change here when you add a new animation controller, what it's created at. So I have mine quite short. The default is 200. You can find out what works for you. I've now trimmed it down to 10, and I'm also going to do Control-Shift-K, close this guy for a second, and then strap position. And again, I'm going to create a bit of a curve on this guy. Might move this one. There we go. So it's going to pop off quite quickly and then slow down. So there we go. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new animation controller. So right click animation controller. I'm going to rename it as text in. Keep it simple. And then this guy is going to animate the text from down here to an in position. So what I'm going to do is quickly open up the outs, play that guy to the beginning, and then that's going to help us out a bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to start at 10 frames, so the end of this animation, and I'm going to do Control K, and Y is already set, enter. So it's a faster way of getting that end position for you, and this time we're just going to move the text down below the other mask, and at 0 we're going to set that. So we should have an animation where it pops in. Again, I'm going to trim that down to 10, and we're also going to put a graph on this guy. So that's all our animations built. Let's just check through them. We've got an in. Looks good. We've got an out. Also looking good. Let's reset that. And then we're also going to have a text in. So yeah, on the in, what I'm also going to do is at the right, I'm going to right click at the end here and do set default frame marker for the text to be in this position. Close that guy, and then I'm also going to go text out, and yeah, the out looks good too. Very good. So let's just close all those, and that's our animations built. So if we just go and have a look, I'm going to add a different group here. So I'm going to add an extra group, and I'm going to put this new scene that we've just been doing here and show you what happens when the logic isn't finished. It just comes on air. Not that exciting. And also, if I had another version of it, it just, if I change the content of the text, we're going to see it just fades between. So if we go back to edit that scene, you can actually do Control E, or you can see here, edit scene in layout. It's a fast way, especially if you've got a lot of scenes, to get back to the layout and to that exact scene you were working on. And we can go to clicking on the scene object here, you'll find this tab called Transition Logic. Transition Logic is only available in the Studio application, so if you're on Prime you won't see this tab, unfortunately. I'm going to add my first rule. That's going to be my in/out rule. Right. In/out. Then I'm going to go to the in, and this drop down menu, you can actually just type in, but the drop down menu will find the name of all the scene directors you have in that particular scene and list them for you. So you can actually just click on them, which really helps with spelling mistakes, or in terms, avoiding them, hopefully. I'm going to click on, that's the in and out rule. In fact, I'm going to show you what that now does. So if I now play the scene, you can see that it now knows how to play the in and out. It still doesn't know how to animate between scenes though, unfortunately. So you just have this weird transition there. It does know how to take it offline though. So we've already improved the scene slightly. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another rule that's going to be the update text condition, and this is a new rule, but this one actually requires a condition. So I'm going to right click, and you'll find here you get your conditions menu. So if I go add condition, back to back condition, And this one we're going to compare scene name ID. So we're actually going to check a scene, and that scene we're going to check is going to be this scene. So we're just checking our own scene to see if it's on air already. Now I'm going to go back to the update text, and this time we don't want the in and out tab, so we don't want anything on here. We want this second tab, which is the back-to-back tab, and we're going to say we're going to do text in, text out, and we're going to almost be finished, but then I'll just show you how that's looking. So now we play our text, it comes in, we play our update, it goes up, and if we play it out, it goes off. Now you'll probably have spotted a slight issue there with my animation, which is it's not going behind the mask. You'll see here, if we go back to our settings, so Control E, that there is an option on the back-to-back which says render animated objects only. So what Expression does is it only re-renders things that have keyframes on. Now we could try clicking that off, and in some cases that's going to work, but we'll just have a look for ours because it's not going to be quite right. So we're going to play this in. We're going to play the next one, and it's better because the mask is being rendered. However, we get this jump to the next one, so it's still not ideal. So actually we do want that checkbox on. So if we go back here, go and find that guy, and we're going to check that back on. However, now we're going to have that issue where the mask isn't being rendered. What you can do though is if you go to the correct animation, so in this case it's going to be our text out, and I'm going to make sure I have this animation controller selected by double clicking on it, and you see it's gone yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that mask, which is my mask 1 in this case, and I'm just going to make a keyframe at the beginning, and it really doesn't matter what I'm not going to put anything, any kind of animation on it. I'm just sticking a keyframe on it. What that says to Expression is that that object should be redrawn now because it has a animation on it, even though we don't actually move it anywhere. And that just tricks Expression into redrawing that mask for you. And now you have perfect transition logic. Thanks for watching. I hope that gets everyone started. I will do a follow-up video with a more advanced version of transition logic. Thanks very much.